another daunting task for the 5-1 because they may doubt that they're fully up to the task themselves. They usually are. They have a deep fear, as most people do, but even more so of failing publicly or letting people down. And so they can be kind of hyper vigilant, like always prepping, always preparing, always trying to manage their perceptions in relationships, because deep down they really want and need people to like really see them and understand them and get them. Human Design reveals who you are energetically and who you came here to be. I'm Dana, your Human Design guide.
And I'm Haley, on this journey with you to uncover the power of human design.
Together, we're here to explore how embracing your authentic self is the ultimate path to a life of more freedom and fulfillment.
Welcome to the Human Design Hive podcast. Let's get into it.
Well, hello there, Haley. How are you today?
Hello, good.
Good. Nice to see you. And welcome back to the Human Design Hive podcast and a fun little series we've decided to do for the next several episodes. We decided we wanted to go deeper into the individual profiles because when people first discover human design, we're told to focus on type, strategy, and authority. And there's good reason for that because it certainly helps you start to embody your design. But it's usually not something people really align with first, right? Usually when you talk about their profile or even they're seeing it on social media or whatever, that's the thing that everybody's like, oh my God, that's so me, right?
Yeah.
Explain certain things about your personality that you maybe weren't actively observing, but once you see it pointed out, you're like, yes, that's me.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, it does get some attention for sure, but it's almost like when we're talking about embodying your design, it's not always, well, you don't say follow your profile because you don't really have to. It's so much more like an innate, natural part of your expression. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, because whether you realize it or not, this is how you operate in the world. It's like the costume that your soul or whatever you want to call it is wearing while it's in this incarnation. So, Haley, why don't you tell us real quick, remind us again, where profile comes from, how we find it in the chart, what it represents, if you can.
Yes.
Well, fill in the blanks if I need to.
Yeah. Okay. So when you're looking at your body graph, you know, you've got your two columns of numbers on either side. And where the profile lines come from, we'll start on the right, which is where the first number comes from. It'll be referencing from your sun and your earth, and it's going to be the number that's after the decimal point. And it's going to be the same for the sun and the earth. It'll be the same number that's there. So that's going to be the first line of your profile. And then on the left side, on the unconscious side, same thing, sun and earth after the decimal point. That's the second line in your profile.
And what are these decimal points representing, where they come from?
So they come from the transiting of the sun and earth. So as we do our transit episodes, we talk about the sun and the earth because they're programming partners. They move through a gate roughly every 6 days, as you've said. It's very rough. It's not going to be exact. So that's where it comes from. So as the sun moves through that gate, it moves through a different line expression.
And the lines of the hexagram, which is where the Chinese I Ching comes in, is it has the hexagram structures of the 64 hexagrams, which are where we get the 64 gate themes from, is from the 64 hexagrams. And then, as you said, each hexagram has a line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the first three lines of the hexagram are what in the human design system? The line 1, 2, and 3, let's say. So the profile,
they're more personal.
Yes.
So what you're trying to they're more introspective, I guess.
More self-focused. And then the 4, 5, 6 are what they call the transpersonal lines, meaning that your your kind of life calling or life purpose, or the way you're not say purpose, the way you're going to move through life is going to involve other people,
Hmm.
because those are transpersonal lines. They four is a relational, five is kind of universal, and six is that role model, which we'll get into a little bit more, especially line five today, because we're going to do a line five profile. But really, the first three lines do feel like very, it's more about how the individual really kind of takes in information and learns and does things. And then the upper trigram numbers are really in relation to others, how that expresses. And so there's 12 profiles, and
Hmm.
they're all going to be a combination of these six numbers. But there's only the 1 3, which we did the last episode, is the
Hmm.
only one that has only low trigram numbers. And then the 4 6, which we'll do in another episode, is all upper trigrams. But the rest of them are a mix of these upper and lower trigram numbers, profile lines
Hmm.
is what we call them. And so that means that for most of us, there's going to be this kind of balancing act in how you express and how you move through life, because it's going to be how you kind of work with this inward and outward energy, right?
Hmm.
So we've gone through each profile line before. We may do it again some other time, the deep dive into the line one or line two. There's past episodes on that. But we hadn't really just done just episodes themselves on each profile. So, and I think it's something people are interested in, want to hear about. So that's what we're doing. So today we're going to do the 5-1 profile.
Mm.
I love me a 5-1.
You have some
Um,
5 1s?
I do. Some of my favorite people are 5-1s.
Mm.
Um, so the 5-1. So if we think about, first of all, Haley, what are the names for the five and the one?
So 5 is the heretic, and 1 is the investigator.
That's good. You're going to know these names by the end of this, because you're always like, what is that one? It's only six names. That way you remember it. So, yeah, so the line five is that lovely heretic name,
Mhm.
which line five, I mean, I can't think of any of the original like human design profile line names that I like, honestly.
Mm. Yeah.
Investigator, that's probably the nicest one.
It
Investigator.
honestly.
Because we have a hermit, we have a martyr, we have an opportunist, a heretic. Oh, role model's nice as well,
Oh
I
yeah,
think.
yeah.
But yes, so line five is called the heretic.
Mhm.
And as we said, this is an upper trigram profile
Mhm.
line. And so that means it is somebody that's going to have a transpersonal, what they call transpersonal karma, meaning that your karma in this lifetime, well, is about kind of cleaning up your karma through your interactions with other people. That's what it says in the traditional language. I struggle with that a little bit,
Mhm.
because I'm like, again, that's something that as you start to look at it, tells you have this karma that you got to clean up, right?
Yeah.
And which doesn't feel great, but all it means to me is that as you move through life, the things you're going to be learning about, maybe in your open centers or even in your defined centers, all the different themes happening in your life are the major things you're going to be able to fulfill your destiny and really learn the lessons through your interactions with others, is
Mhm.
how I see it, especially for the role model, or the heretic, because we've talked about the line five before, and what kind of interactions does it have with other people, Haley?
Mhm. Well, it's my favorite term, which is the strangers of consequence,
Mm-hmm.
which it's like, so line 5 is very much like they don't they don't even, it's like they don't know, what am I trying to say?
Go ahead.
They
Take your
don't
time.
even maybe realize the effect or the interaction that they have with someone. Like it could literally be in passing, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like the energy that they have is good for that person. But it's also like we say with the line 5, they have these like mic drop moments. It's
Mm-hmm.
like they're going to say what someone needs to hear,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's not what that person came to the person to the line 5 to hear.
That's great. No, I love that. Yeah. The strangers of consequence, right? Like you said, they have a universalizing energy, is what they call it. And so that means that, as you said, they are designed to impact people largely, but also it doesn't have to be a personal connection.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, especially as a 5-1, that's definitely going to be the case because we talked about the line 1 aspect of it last week about how it's deeply investigative and introspective and about foundational knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
The 5-1, the line 5, sorry. So because they have this universalizing energy, because they, as you said, are going to impact people whether they're realizing it or not, right? It could be in passing, it could be through relationships, it could be through lots of different things, but they have this natural magnetism to them that draws people to them because what's another you're not going to be able to pull this one out, but we talk about how people see what they want to see in the heretic. What is that? What is that term we used? You don't remember, do you?
I mean, it's revolving around a mirror.
Yes. What kind of mirror? It's just a
uh
term. I'm just trying to pick your brain.
what kind of mirror? A magic mirror? I don't know.
It's a good guess. Good guess. No, it's a karmic mirror
Oh, karmic
because
mirror.
we were using that word karma before. But yeah,
Mhm.
so that was, don't feel bad for not answering that correctly. I'm surprised you got mirror, mainly because I was holding my hand
No,
up.
I remember 5 as mirror.
Yeah. So it says they're karmic mirror in the sense that, like you just described earlier, they may say things or bring information forth that are mic drop moments that people need to hear, but they're not always ready for it. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's that attraction that these people have because they are going to attract people that need to hear what they have to say or the solutions they offer because they are very much these like they bring innovation, new ways of seeing things, and they are these like very practical people, offer very practical solutions, but they also are offering solutions that oftentimes people may not be ready to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And it is for that person's benefit. But what's interesting about the line 5, it also carries a projection energy. Where is it in the house analogy? We talk about the different
Yeah.
lines in the house. Let's get this
Yeah.
one
So
again.
the line 5 was the upstairs windows, but the curtains are drawn.
Right. So
So
yeah,
it's
raw
it's
in human design,
those.
they gave this analogy of looking at a 2-story house and how the different lines represent different areas of the house. Like we
Mm-hmm.
said, the second floor window with the curtains drawn because they're hiding out. Line 2s hide
Mm-hmm.
out a lot
No, line
because
5s.
I'm sorry, line 5s like to hide. They hide out a lot. Now, it doesn't mean they're physically like in their houses hiding, although
Mm-hmm.
if they get too badly burned, they might. But they can be secretive because they have been projected on to a lot by other people because people are drawn to them because they can sense that there's something that this person has that they need,
Mm-hmm.
something that they can help them with, something they can fix, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as we said, the things they can help them with, sure they can, but it's not always what this person wants because
Yeah.
it's a real solution. It's
Mm-hmm.
like if you're doing something, that isn't in your benefit in your whole life and you think it's everybody else's fault, the line 5 is going to be the one that's going to hold up the mirror and is going to be like,
Mm-hmm.
well, that's the effect, but the cause is really what you're doing. People don't like that.
No, no,
Yes. And
no.
so that's why they're called the heretic because they bring in these new ideas, they bring in these new solutions, but it's not always, it doesn't go with maybe conventional wisdom or the way things were done before, and it's heretical. It's like, you can't say that, you can't do that, that's not right,
Mm-hmm.
and you are wrong. And so this is why these people hide out, is because, especially if they don't know that they're a line 5, which most of the planet doesn't know this stuff yet, they just have the experience of feeling really misunderstood by people
Mm-hmm.
because they don't get it, why people are always telling them things about themselves that aren't true. Like, it'll be literally the person that somebody might. What was the example I heard give the other day was the way people can project on you that you said you would be here at a certain time. We had this conversation and we said we would meet up and you said you'd be here. Where are you? And the line 5's like, I never said I was going to be there. Yes, you did. You said that this was going to happen at this time. And it's so confusing to them because they know that they did not put that out there in the world, but the other people just can't see anything other than what they understood the line 5 to say or mean. Does that make sense? No,
Maybe.
no, it doesn't make sense. Okay, let's find another analogy here. So,
Saying people that maybe don't know that they're line 5s have felt that people will come to the line 5 and those people will tell the line 5 things about themselves that the line 5 is like, no, that's not right. Is that
yeah,
what you're
that's
saying?
well, that's the projection. It's like, I'm trying to think of a good example, and I can pause this.
I got one. I think I
Oh,
have one.
okay.
It's very vague, but so people will come, people may come to a line 5 and say, you always give me such horrible advice. And the line 5 is like, no, I'm giving you good advice. You're not listening, but I'm giving you good advice.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, it's like, okay, so I'll give this one example of someone that I know personally, and she is in her wheelhouse. She is someone who has been through a long journey with her health and clearing up her health and advocating for her own health. She's a 5-1 projector. And so this is someone that, through her own study and introspection and going deep, that one part of her profile, has learned a lot about things that in her environment and in her lifestyle and just all kinds of things, where she grew up, was the root cause of a lot of the issues that she had. And she just on her own just started making these changes in her life and felt really compelled to share that, put that out there. What happened though in her personal life, in her personal interactions, people felt that she was either attacking them or a know-it-all. She's a 5-1 projector. Okay, so she's got the projectorness,
Mm-hmm.
right, of people not wanting to hear what she has to say unless invited. And then she also has this line 5 projection field. So she grew up in an area that there was a lot of environmental pollutants, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And this, not let's say, it was. And this affected not only her and her health, but a lot of people that she knows around her
Mm-hmm.
and that she grew up with in her family. And she has taken into her own hands ways to either reverse that or to make herself healthier again by making lots of lifestyle and dietary and whatnot changes. When she tries to share that with others, they don't like it. It's
Mm-hmm.
like they project onto her that either she doesn't know what she's talking about or she's attacking them. It doesn't go well for her with that 5-1 and being a projector.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the people that are ready to hear what she has to say, because those people just aren't ready or they're not
Mm-hmm.
willing. They don't want to see that as the issue. They don't want to
Yeah.
see that. They might just want to take more prescriptions or they just might want to just say, well, that's just the way it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to believe that they can fix it. Whereas the people that are ready understand her genius and can just learn so much from her and can see that she absolutely has the information that can change their lives and other people's lives. And she can do that just through either social media or just through her personal interactions. But she really can create a lot of change and brings a lot of new ideas to people as to how to help themselves. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of the idea that I'm talking about, is that they can have the information, they can have the knowledge, but if people aren't ready to hear it, then they're going to attack them personally. Maybe not the
Mm-hmm.
ideas, but they attack them personally and see them. And that can be very hurtful to the line five or to anyone, because you know that you're just trying to help, and it's like they can't, especially the one energy of having to know all this stuff, they can't help but want to universalize this energy. They learn something like that and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
everybody needs to know this. But not everybody's ready. So
Uh-huh.
they can be seen as either someone's savior or a scapegoat. So, as I said, that can create a lot of hiding out for the line five. They have a very
Mm-hmm.
seductive energy that draws people in. But then at the same time, if they aren't really solid in what they know and understand that who they are and where they're really coming from, those projections can really hurt, because they can really start to doubt themselves. Because if they have
Mm-hmm.
enough people telling them what their intentions are and they're wrong and they don't know what they're talking about, if you don't have a solid foundation in who you are, that's going to really like make you feel rather insecure. And
Mm-hmm.
because people just project what they want to see. So this can be even more, this insecurity and this uncertainty can be really highly pronounced for the 5-1 profile in particular, because
Mm-hmm.
the one is always gathering all this information to have that solid foundation of knowledge. And if their experience is to continually be told that it's incorrect, like people
Mm-hmm.
think they have the fix for them, but then they doubt themselves, because really the line five or the line one, I can speak from experience, gathers all this information for the purpose of feeling safe and secure and feeling that they have this strong base knowledge. And you want to make sure you keep gathering more information because you want to make sure you don't get it wrong. You want
Mm-hmm.
to make sure you're right. And if you're continuously told you're wrong because it's the wrong people, it's just this never ending loop of this pressure, but also this projection onto you.
Mm-hmm.
So, line fives are natural leaders. They often get called into leadership because, again, people see them as a solution. Even when you don't volunteer and you don't want to be the leader, your brother's a line five, he's a 3-5,
Mm-hmm.
but you know that these people get called forth all the time. Again, another daunting task for the 5-1, because they may doubt that they're fully up to the task themselves. They usually
Mm-hmm.
are. They have a deep fear, as most people do, but even more so of failing publicly or letting people down. And so they can be kind of hyper vigilant, like always prepping, always preparing, always trying to manage their perceptions in relationships, because deep down they really want and need people to like really see them and understand them and get them. And that is a real struggle in relationships with line five, because it takes a lot of vulnerability to let people in. And they usually have so much experience with people not being very kind to them in that instance. So it's like very important for them to find people who really see them. And in their relationships, especially if you're someone who's in a relationship with line five, to let them know that they're safe with you and that you really do get them and see them and understand that, because I do this with your brother all the time. I'm trying to be vigilant myself of, am I placing expectations or projections
Mm-hmm.
onto him? And I'll be interested when we talk about 3-5. I've been thinking about your brother and some of his interactions like that with that line five. But it's like, in the group, you might be seen as the one who is always like, people might say, oh, you're always the one with the answers, or maybe you're the entertaining one, or maybe you're the one that knows XYZ and everything. And so you kind of fill these roles for people, but they don't really know you. It's like they say that it's almost like there's always this kind of little veil over the line 5
Mm-hmm.
because their energy is kind of guarded in that way because of the fact that they do have to impact people at a larger scale. So let's see. Sorry. One thing that 5-1s really need to understand is that they're not here to fix everyone or everybody. They're here to offer solutions when the time is right, when the people really value them, especially as a projector, to offer solutions when the time is right and when people are ready to hear it. Boundaries are going to be super, super, super important for line 5s. As I said with my friend, she had to come to an understanding that the people that she felt closest to personally, that might have been her family or childhood friends, were never there are some of them that just weren't quite ever going to hear what she had to
Mm-hmm.
say. And the more she tried to tell them, the less they want to hear. And so
Mm-hmm.
she had to kind of create boundaries between what she shares with those people in order to maintain those relationships, which is a very common thing with line 5s is like if you keep having the same argument, let's say, with someone in your life, and you know that it's just their issues or their beliefs about you or their projection onto you, you've got to make a choice for your own health and safety and personal well being. Well, health and safety, it sounds like they're going to come at you personally, but I mean, physically, but for your own emotional well being and mental well being, is what are these boundaries going to be in this relationship? Maybe we're just never going to talk about those things again. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I love you, but we just won't ever talk about that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Or you say, this is not a viable relationship and we cannot be in a relationship anymore because it just hurts me and we're just never going to see eye to eye. Like, you really have to evaluate and be almost, this sounds terrible, but very precise about your relationships and
Mm-hmm.
what you're willing to put up with and endure and what you're not. So
Mm-hmm.
it can be some hard lessons,
Yeah.
hard experiences for line 5. So the best way to manage that and to manage the projections that are put onto the line 5 is to know that if you're following your type strategy authority, the people who are ready to hear what you have to say, the people you can lead, the people you can help, are it's going to be easier for them to find you
Mm-hmm.
because there's not going to be if you're not living by those things, then you're not really living out your design, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
it makes it easier for people to project onto you because you're not being true to who you really are, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yeah.
responding to what they see. And so if that's happening to you as a 5-1, first of all, it's not your fault. You may not have known certain things about yourself. And it's easy enough to start to shift and
Mm-hmm.
reframe because that's where somebody like me comes in who has an understanding of human design, who can look at your chart and can see all of the pieces of the chart because we can explain these concepts, take them apart and
Mm-hmm.
explain them as individual concepts. But looking at the totality of someone is quite different in the context of your profile and your type and everything
Mm-hmm.
else. So that's where I can help you with that is if you are struggling or know someone that is to be able to look at the totality of your chart and see where some of these projections might be impacting you and how we can shift that and move that and change that. So that's something to consider if you're struggling. You can always reach out to me and we could work together. I would love to do that. So, as we said just a minute ago, your type can play a lot into this,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're thinking about a generator, how are they going to express their 5-1 energy? Just
Mm-hmm.
loosely. What is it going to involve, Haley?
Well, since generator, you got to have that sacral hit to kind of course, respond to and understand what it is that you're responding to and how that
Hmm.
is going to play out based on what kind of information you have, who you're
Hmm.
around, all kinds of stuff.
Right. You've got to respond with discernment. You've got to make sure that if you're a generator, You got the energy that can respond to everybody, right? You
Mm-hmm.
can get right in there and try to help everybody and do everything, but because that's just your nature is to respond, but that could lead to a lot of overcommitting to things and burning out. So it's like profile here in that instance with that response. It's interesting because the line one is going to be drawn from drawn to things based on its sacral response as well, because it's like, this interests me. Oh, I want to know what this means. What does this mean?
Mm-hmm.
What is this? Blah blah blah. And so you're naturally, if you're following that response, it's going to take you to the different things that you're going to really create a foundation in and really get deep into. But then you also have to honor that sacral response when people are coming to
Mm-hmm.
you for things. I mean, let's just say you're like a parent and you're really good at your parenting style and the way you handle your children. You've learned a lot about this. You've gone deep on certain things. But then someone comes at you and says, well, you're good with your kids. You should be a teacher, or you should be leading this class, or you should be working with children in this capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not really clear on, like, well, no, that's different than what I'm actually wanting to help people with. This is just my own personal thing, but they might see you as one thing, and you might end up in a situation where you're suddenly teaching like preschool or something, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
I hate this. Like, why do I want to be here? I don't want to be
Mm-hmm.
here. But somebody projected onto you that you're great with children. Well, you could be great with children, but that's not where you're being called into necessarily as far as helping. So the manifesting generator, it's going to be a lot of the same thing, but it could be on an amped up timeline, sped up timeline. Plus, you've got the line one researcher wanting to go deep on things, but also the manifesting generator. You probably have lots of different interests. You'll probably have lots
Mm-hmm.
of different things that you like to go deep on. And some of those things are meant for others and some of them are meant just for you. And as I said at the top of this episode, I think the key here is to understand these two parts of yourself, the one and the five. It's not like you have to go deep first and then bring it out. There's going to be times when one is being maybe utilized more than others. And so, like, if you're super going deep on things, you may miss the opportunities to
Mm-hmm.
get out there and share what you have with others. Or if you're not going deep on what it is, if you're not really building that foundation of knowledge, those projections could be a lot worse on you because you
Mm-hmm.
maybe really don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You're just winging it.
Yeah.
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 5-1 projector, we kind of talked about that already.
A
Again,
projection.
double projection there. You may know a lot. You may know your stuff. You may know exactly who you need to help because you're a projector. You see it. You see the
Oh, I
overarching
can I
thing.
can see the struggle.
Yeah, but doubly so if no one is asking for this advice, don't go to them personally. This is a distinction with projectors I'd like to make. They always say they can't be invited and they can't share. So they get the impression that they have to just sit back and never share. The point is, no, this is one-to-one interactions with people. Like if someone's
Mm-hmm.
right in front of you and they have not asked for your opinion, your advice on a specific thing that, especially as a five, that you could help them with, it's even more important to hold back and just let your energy do the talking and
Mm-hmm.
just be maybe an example or just share. You don't even have to share anything about that with people because where you can share is in the larger field, as far as if you want to have a blog or talk about it on your social media, or you have a YouTube channel, or you just,
Or maybe like even if you're maybe in a group setting and just kind of
mhm.
talking about it, but
Yeah,
you're not directing it at
right.
anyone specific.
Yeah, right. Because, yeah, you can give a talk about it or whatever. I mean, it's in those instances there, you as a projector, your job, quote unquote, is to know your own worth, recognize your own value. And so as a line one, that means going deep into your what it is you're
Knowledge base.
interested in learning about and really building that foundation and making it strong. But like I said, and you can share that information wide and you can have a podcast, you can do whatever you want. But just in those one-to-one interactions, be more mindful about zeroing because you can zero in on those
Mm-hmm.
people and you know what they need. But if they're not ready, it's going to really come back on you in a way that you're not happy with,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Uh, manifestors, manifestors have their own special path in life of also just having people misunderstanding them, misunderstanding
Mm-hmm.
their energy, maybe being a little uh, even weary or standoff, wary, not weary, wary, because they don't quite always know what a manifestor is going to do next. Their energy can be kind of unsettling around people
Mm-hmm.
um, because it creates this. It reminds me of like expectation, like everybody like static in the air, like you
Mm-hmm.
something's there, but they can't really identify it, know what it is. But then they're also drawn to it because it's a line five, and so it could be a
Mm-hmm.
very quick if you're not keeping people in the loop and letting them know what it is you are looking into or investigating or what you may in the future want to share with them. It could also be kind of off-putting to people. They might see you as even manifestors used to being seen as too much anyhow a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times, but it can kind of have that sort of that same effect like projectors do. It can just really put people off
Mm-hmm.
when they are being projected onto. There could be a lot of backlash there because they're misunderstood their intentions. So if you
Mm-hmm.
are following your type and strategy, as I said, just informing people why it is maybe you're looking into this or why you're going in a certain direction,
Mm-hmm.
they're more likely to receive what it is you have to share with them.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I
We're
don't
going to
know
say
why,
something.
but it makes me think of a horse. I don't know why.
Well, I think if horse, I just kind of let that flight because I was thinking of something else, and I'm like, why a horse?
Why a horse? Because it's like I mean, you think about a horse, like they're this beautiful, powerful creature, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, they can be a little standoffish. They can, like, you don't ever really know, like, what a horse is going to do. They could just come up and kick you if you don't kind of respect their boundaries. So it's like, I don't know, it's just kind of, it's like this beautiful thing, but there's this little bit of apprehension and, like,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of like, okay, we're both here. Like, see what's going to happen.
That is so interesting, though, too, because I never thought about it that way. But also, you think about a horse, it's always, they talk about horses being so also like tuned to their environment. Like they can sense things in people
Mm-hmm.
as well, that they are working purely on that energetic, which is why equine therapy is so popular because somebody might think that they're in one certain kind of energy, but the horse can sense either their dysregulated state, like, and they help regulate their emotions because they work with people with trauma a lot with horses
Mm-hmm.
because the horse can like it's interesting. Like my mind is like making all these connections now that you said that, but I don't know if it's true about the 5-1, but I could see the correlation there for sure. That's
Mm-hmm.
interesting with the
I don't
manifester.
know if it's more like the 5-1 or more just like the manifester part that I kind of see as the horse, but
Yeah. Yeah. So the reflector, we'll just say real quick, reflectors are they have no defined centers in their chart, so they're also a mirror, right, to their
mm-hmm.
environment. And then if you are a 5-1 on top of that, it means there's the potential for you to be very misunderstood because as we discussed last week with the line with the 1-3, the reflector is in their environment and quite often is absorbing all the projections and expectations from everyone in their environment. And they, unless they're spending their time alone away from auric contact from other people to really understand what it is they're interested in learning, what it is they're interested in creating a foundation in, they may find that they were in an environment where everybody was interested in economics and they're like becoming this expert in economic theory and all this other stuff, and then they may be completely wrong or projected on. People are like, what are you talking about? But if they spend some time alone or in break in it, and they have to be very mindful of the people they're in a relationship and the connections they make and the environments they're in, because they can easily get lost in that
Mm-hmm.
and think that they really want to know and go deep on a certain thing. But if they take the time to be by themselves, and I'm not just talking like an hour, I'm talking like maybe regular self retreats or getting away, just kind of traveling by yourself to understand that these things that you thought you're interested in, you thought that maybe is your calling to help people with, may not have anything to do with what you're really interested in
Mm-hmm.
and what really calls to you. You're just responding to that environment around you and all those projections. So that's something for the reflector to pay attention to. So, like we did last time, we shared a couple charts of a
Mm-hmm.
couple different types. And let's start with, I think since we just originally just now talked about the 5-1 manifester,
Mm-hmm.
we have a very popular human design person with the 5-1 manifester uh, energy, which is Ra Uruhu himself.
Mm-hmm.
You got that one? You got that chart?
Yes, I got it up.
So I
Oh, he
always,
just had a birthday.
yeah, he did. He would have been 77, but he died in 2001 or two, I think. I can't remember now when he
Oh,
died. But, anyways, so when you look at his chart,
yes.
what I find so interesting a lot of times in his chart, well, of course, he was born under gate of shock. That's the
Mm-hmm.
first thing.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a 51 line 5 and a manifester. So it is not surprising the projections that have been put on him.
Mm-hmm.
Also, from people who knew him personally, there's a lot of issues. But he brought forth this new system. He brought forth human design. And I find it interesting because still to this day, people have issues with him, and and rightly so. But if you look at his chart, it's like, as that line 5 manifester, gate of shock, I don't think he was really here to be understood by people. He was here
Mm-hmm.
to deliver, and he delivered. He was also born under the left angle cross of the clarion. This is someone that is bringing stuff through, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I find it so interesting. I didn't notice it before. He has a completely open sacral center,
Oh God, yeah.
right?
Not a
And
single thing.
and he always talked about generators and how much generators, if they just could understand their own power and the way they're meant to operate, the whole world would change, because basically generators are doing things they don't want to be doing. They're
Mm-hmm.
responding wrongly, all these things. It's because he had a lot of data probably to back that up. He's very attuned to that sacral energy. He also not completely, he has an undefined solar plexus, undefined
Mm-hmm.
head. So he was definitely, no one I think has very many warm, fuzzy memories of Ra Uru, including his family.
Mm.
But he
Yeah.
was living out his design, and it was a universalizing energy, but that was also self-focused. He did go deep into human design and trying to understand and bring the system out into the world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he was known as pretty polarizing kind of person. And a lot of people wanted to burn him at the stake for things he said and things he did, but they've made lots of projections. They've called it a cult. They've done all kinds of things
Mm-hmm.
to project onto him what they perceive he was doing. He also has his conscious moon is gate 51, line 1.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's a shocking person for
Yeah.
sure. He served his purpose. And so that's one way to look at that manifestor energy. Do you have any questions about that one?
No, it's just he has 5 channels, which is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But then as you were talking, like people projecting onto him, I was thinking about like what he brought forward, like we talk about, is kind of structured it a lot more in the the like shadow side of things, like really brought attention to that. And
Mm-hmm.
even on here, we talk about like we don't really like that because it doesn't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
But now thinking about it, him being 5'1", it's like, no, that's what we needed to hear.
Mm-hmm. It's also interesting as I was looking up certain things about, I was curious because he has the unconscious 4323. He has the
Mm-hmm.
channel, and it's his unconscious south node in 43, north node in 23. And it
Mm-hmm.
got me very curious about when his Uranus opposition is, because in Uranus opposition is when you go from those south node to north node themes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not surprisingly, his Uranus opposition came pretty much, I mean, the actual date of it, which it's far reaching,
Mm-hmm.
was roughly a month or so before the voice visited him.
Oh,
Yes.
interesting.
And so he brought forth the 43, and it's these are both in line 3 as well. This very like new mutative
Mm-hmm.
information. But the 23, he lived out the rest of his life, even though he died. I think he was, let's see, he died a while ago. So he was like in his 50s, 60, somewhere around there, 60.
Mm-hmm.
And he spent out the rest of his life structuring that, making that knowledge, putting it into a structure, simplifying it. I mean, some people wouldn't call it simplified, but he put it into a system. He
Uh-huh.
took the knowledge from the voice and he channeled it or whatever. He spent those 8 days gathering all this information in this altered state of whatever he was in. But he then had a gift for speaking it out into the world to where people began to understand it. And he would often
Mm-hmm.
say that his voice there coming from the 4323 was unconscious, and he knew that. And he used to question, like, people always said to him that he had a great mind and the way he thought, and he's always like, I don't know what they're talking about, because it was not something that he necessarily understood he was doing. And that's why a
Mm-hmm.
lot of his, I think, lectures and whatnot are in this free flowing. He would just talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I could have this experience too of like, I don't always know if anything I'm saying is making sense, but quite often it does help people in some way have an understanding of what I'm talking about. And so he had that in spades for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's move on to the next one. So the next one I'd like to look at is our emotional manifesting generator would be Jamie Foxx.
Mm-hmm.
You know Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
I like Jamie Foxx a lot. So he is a 5'1". His son gates gate 26.
Shout out.
And I don't know a lot about him personally, but I was
Mm-hmm.
looking at a little bit here. So he is an emotional manifesting generator. He has an undefined root, undefined spleen, head, and ajna.
Mm-hmm.
He his channels, he has the 14-2, 29-6. Oh, and I have all three of those. I have that same sacral to G center connection or configuration as he does. The 5, the 14-2, and the 29-46. Excuse me. He has his split definition. And so his name's not Jamie Foxx. Did you know that? Did you know that's a stage name?
I feel like it is a little tidbit I know, but I don't definitely don't
It's
know
not even
his.
close to his name. I don't remember what his real name is, but I just remember that just now. He
Mm-hmm.
he was an athlete. He was a football player.
Hmm.
Yeah, he played ball a lot, but he also how he got into he's most known, he got his quote unquote like entertainment career
Mm-hmm.
in comedy. And it said that he was in college and it was his friend or girlfriend or somebody convinced him to do this like open mic night thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had said that he knew that women comics tend to get a better, warmer reception and are put at the top of the list for some whatever reason. So he came up with the name Jamie Foxx because he thought it sounded like a
Feminine
interesting
name.
a woman's name. Yeah, the two X's to get him to the top of the sheet, which it worked.
Oh, that's funny.
But so I think as he moved through life, a lot of people only, and especially he's a black performer, he's a black actor, comedian, whatever. I think there's still these certain, just because of that, these unfair projections
Mm-hmm.
onto someone based on how they look, but also people only wanted to, for a while there, only see, oh, he's just a funny guy, he's just a comedian, but he's become very much a respected actor, director in his field. And I would say I'm sure there's lots of things that people aren't, they don't always agree with what he does. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, his movie, Django, one of the best
Oh,
movies
so good.
out there. They said when he was promoting that movie, he would say things like, "Oh yeah, I'm excited to get to go to work. How I get to kill all the white people in the movie today," and people did not like when he'd say that. And
Oh.
it's just like, oh well, if a white person said that about a black person, just the constant
Mm-hmm.
dumb shit people say in this country of this, like, oh, he's being so racist or whatever. But I mean, there's truth to it. You know what he was saying. It's just like there weren't many movies that before Django and some other films where we really expose the evilness of
Oh
the
yeah.
white man and slavery and just all these things. And
Mm-hmm.
this came at it in a new direction of, like, it was a great movie and it was a violent movie,
Yeah.
but it was very much there
It
was no
highlighted
white
what people
savior. Yeah, there was
yeah.
no,
It highlighted what we needed to see and really like
yeah,
look in the mirror and be like, oh shit.
his character, yeah, was interesting. So I don't, like I said, I don't know a lot about him. I'm looking at his chart. I can see that with that 14-2, that 29-46, I do, and the 59, we have three similar channels to understand that it would be very important for him to, as a line 5, understand himself completely, because he would be really pressured to be responding to things all the time, and he has a lot of energy, and he's going to be highly seductive to people because that line 5, but also that 59-6 also
Mm-hmm.
draws people in. And the 14 to, like, those gates there also draw people to you, because the 14-2 helps give people direction, and the 29-46, being invited into experiences, opportunities that he could certainly find himself in saying yes to if he did not understand really what it is he's here to share and what he's here
Mm-hmm.
to be a part of. And I think he does that pretty well now, but there would be a lot of pressure from that open head and that open root to, like, just feel like he has to produce something, and maybe a lot of saying yes without meaning to say yes kind of thing. I don't know him personally, but that would be
Mm-hmm.
something I would suggest to somebody have this configuration. I did find one story that was interesting, that about him, that said back in let me find my notes here. It was in 2003, I believe. Jamie Foxx and his sister Deandra were confronted by security guards and had a physical struggle with police officers, and he was arrested. They were both arrested at Harris Casino in New Orleans. It says that employees said that his party failed to show identification upon entering and started yelling profanities and fought with police officers after being told to leave. And his sister was subdued with pepper spray after she broke free while being handcuffed.
Mm-hmm.
And then using the handcuffs to strike out. It says injured police officers were injured, all this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
He pleaded no contest. Okay. This is what I found interesting as I was reading further on.
Mm-hmm.
His sister Deandra, who died in 2020,
Mm.
she had Down syndrome.
Oh.
So as I read this story, not knowing anything else, because I don't remember when it happened, I'm like, what
Mm-hmm.
really happened there? You
Mm-hmm.
know, the whole, like, not showing ID, shouting obscenities, altercation. I don't know. I wasn't there. But
Mm-hmm.
from this conversation that we're having, was that what really happened? He pleaded no contest, which means
Mm-hmm.
that he probably knew what really happened,
Mm-hmm.
but he also probably knew he was in New Orleans. Police officers were injured, involved. It probably didn't matter what really happened or what
Mm-hmm.
caused it, because I'm sorry, his sister had Down syndrome, and they're not exactly known as being these, like, horribly violent, whatever people. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm just casting my own judgments on that.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that was an interesting story that could have something to do with projections and what people believe they saw, but what really happened. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, Jamie Foxx, his cross is the left angle cross of confrontation. Interesting.
Yeah.
And so, lastly, we're going to look at the last one. We have an emotional generator here, a young woman named Billie Eilish, who,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh, I'm looking at her chart. She's only 23 still.
I just saw it. She's born in 2001. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. I don't know. She's only 3 years older than Lakeland. God, Lord.
God, Lord.
God, Lord. That's not what I'm going to say. Okay. So, wow. Look
Uh,
at her. So, her son is in gate 11, gate of ideas,
mhm,
completely open head center. Open, undefined ajna, undefined throat. She has the channels she has there. Look at that synthesis and rhythm. So she has the
mhm,
1949 and the 515. This is going to be a sensitive individual.
mhm,
Her sacral is connected to her G center. So it is another one of these like following your own path kind of thing. That 515, the rhythm is like understanding the rhythm in life, your own personal rhythm, how that plays out in the natural rhythms. And some things about Billie Eilish. I mean, we know she's a singer, performer, right?
mhm,
As a line 5. I mean, people talk about, well, because she's also in entertainment and she's a woman, they're always looking at her appearance, right?
mhm,
And people often commented, especially as she's coming up and becoming really popular, about her appearance and commenting on her style, her baggy clothes,
mhm,
and project onto her like what that means and what is she hiding and stuff. And she
mhm.
said, it's just because of how she's comfortable. That's what she's
Yeah.
comfortable wearing. And she likes looking different. She wants to be different. I mean, she styles herself beyond baggy clothes of how she looks
Mhm,
and likes wearing things that no one else is. And let's face it, she's a woman in pop music. Let's say pop music, that's just a generalized term. It's definitely against the norm of like what other women her age coming up and trying to become successful, let's
mhm.
say, look at. But people project so many things onto her about what it all means. And is she trying to say something about the culture because of that? But she's like, this is just what's comfortable to me.
Mhm.
She's also, as I looked into her, she's always, that's her generation, I think, very considers herself an activist, very politically active. It's interesting. She has that 1949 because she does a lot with animals and
Mhm.
also that 15.5. Those two channels very much attuned to nature, animals, those kind of things. And she also says that she does not like and she will not talk about her personal life, her dating life again
Mhm.
because there were so many things projected onto her. She has been in relationships with men and women, and she says she won't talk about it again because everybody wants to claim her as one thing or another and tend to, I mean, you can't help it. If you're in the public eye, people are going to project onto you. And so
Yeah.
it can be even more so for a line 5 profile. So
Mhm.
I will say I give her props because she seems to, at her young age, even though there's been a lot of struggles in her life, she seems to be sticking to the core of who she is and understanding
Mhm.
what she's here to do and what she's here to
Yeah.
offer.
I mean, she's
And
got 4 gates defined in the will center or in the G center, I mean. So
hmm
it's like she's really strong in who she is.
yeah, and that's probably been a large part of her success because the amount of scrutiny that people undergo in the music
It's
industry for
just
sure,
so
young women.
horrible.
Yeah. But
It's very interesting to me how much she has reaching towards her solar plexus.
yeah, she does have a lot. And so if someone came to me with this chart,
Mhm.
I would be like, it's going to be important for her to really follow that strategy and authority because she does have the energy. But the story here is for her to respond to what's correct for her, for what feels natural and right for her. And she needs to take her time to not feel pressured, because she's
Mhm.
probably going to feel pressured from people to know what to say, know what to do. She has to really stand firm in who she is and follow her own rhythm, because with that solar plexus definition, she's going to have that emotional wave. It's going to be impacted by especially people closer to her, but ultimately she has to do what's right for her, and it's going to take her time. And there may be a lot of pressure to make those decisions, but she has to just stay the course and what's right for her, especially with that channel rhythm also being
Mhm.
part of her design. So any hoozle, just some
Mhm.
examples, quick examples there. I say quick because I know we spent time on it, but to go over three charts is a lot. Okay, so basically, for the line 5, just remember that just because somebody sees something in you doesn't mean that you owe it to them, doesn't mean that's what you're here to give them. Your power, your strength lies in it's real. It's, you have it within you, you know it, but you have to know it, and you have to know that it's not for everyone. And you
Mhm.
don't have to justify or explain yourself to people. You just have to stand solid in your knowledge and follow your type, strategy, and authority to help you navigate the path forward. And just know that just because somebody handed you a spotlight and said you're here for this doesn't mean that that's what you're here for. You follow your own timing, your own path, and you will be the leader that people need, and it will be the right people to follow your lead. So there
Mhm.
you go. Anything else you'd like to say about the 5-1, Haley?
I don't think so.
All right, Haley. So since we're wrapping up the episode, that means it's time for.
The incarnation cross of the week.
There we go. We did it. Yes, it's time for the incarnation cross of the week. A little segment that we close out every episode with, where we explore one of the 192 incarnation crosses from the human design system. And why do we do this, Haley?
Because it's fun.
Because it's fun. That's all we need. Yeah, your incarnation cross consists of the 4 gates of your conscious and unconscious sun and earth placements in your
Mhm.
chart. And each one is like the theme that kind of carries you through your life, because it is these sun and earth placements, which make up a large part of your energetic expression. And so it is really what you bring to the world. It's what you shine out to others. It's what others a lot of times say your cross is really not for you, it's for the other people around you. And just like when we talk about gates, there's lots of variation in how this energy expresses. But when we share these crosses with you, it's to show you the full potential of this cross and
Mhm.
what your purpose and your path is all about here in life. And
Mhm.
so we want to be aspirational. So
Yeah.
this week, we are looking at the left angle cross of limitation.
Mhm.
So, what do we know? It's a left angle cross, which means it is a.
So that means that the profile starts with a 5 or a 6.
Correct. All right. Fitting, right? Okay.
Mhm.
So, you could have this cross and be a 5-1. So, the left angle cross of limitation consists on the personality side of the chart, right hand side, black numbers. Your sun is in gate 42, the gate of growth.
Mhm.
Earth is in gate 32, continuity. On the left hand side of your chart, the design side, the red numbers, sometimes they call it the unconscious side. Your sun is in gate 60, the gate of acceptance.
Mhm.
And Earth is in gate 56, stimulation.
So we have growth, continuity, acceptance, and stimulation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so if you were born under the left angle cross of limitation, you're here to show the world what's possible when persistence meets purpose. As a steady presence amid chaos, you possess the rare gift of follow through that transforms unfinished projects into completed masterpieces. Where others abandon their dreams mid stride or burn out, chasing instant results, your natural talents include building dreams from solid foundations and recognizing the value of divine timing in all of your endeavors. You intuitively grasp the long game when others fixate on immediate outcomes, helping redirect focus toward what's already working rather than what's lacking. Through your embodiment of completion as spiritual practice, gratitude as energetic amplifier, and structure as the sacred container for creativity, you demonstrate that limitations aren't confining. They're focusing tools that create space for sustainable expansion and lasting transformation.
Mm. The rewriting of limitation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which you've done that here. But it's really, there is like, you can see that thing because we've talked about 50 or 60 a lot. We just did the April transits, gate 42, about completion. 60 is in that root center. It is about knowing your limitations in the sense that can't throw out the baby with the bathwater, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like knowing that there's certain things that need to
Need to stay.
be brought forward and continue, right, as you go, and some that don't. But then you can see that energy there of the growth of gate 42 of like, okay, let's really clean this up. Let's really see what, if there are any loose ends as we're looking at moving into the next cycle or bringing forth that true transformation, what is it that really needs to be brought forward and what needs to be left behind. So anyways, important stuff.
Yeah.
Important people. All right. So thank you all for listening. We will be back next week with Haley's favorite profile. The 6-2. I wonder why. A lot of 6-2s out there. So yeah, so we'll be talking about the 6-2 profile next time. Also, I'd like to remind you that we have the community call coming up on April 23rd at 7 p.m. It's a Wednesday where we're going to get together, get to know you, have a little fun chit chat, and we can talk about your profiles. We can talk about some of the sun transit gates, any of the things we talked about this month. We'd love to hear what you have to say, share your experiences. So in order to know where that's happening, make sure you're on the email list. You can either go to humandesignhive.com and sign up there, or you can go to the Substack, Human Design Hive. All those show notes has all the links in it. Just sign up for the newsletter, email list, and you will be getting all the details in your inbox the morning of where to meet us on Zoom. So don't miss out.
We'll be together.
Oh, I know. It'll be a rare sighting on this this community call. Haley and I will be sharing a screen together in the same room. It should be fun. Hopefully I won't talk over you too much.
Well, then I'm right in the room, so I can just nudge you.
It'll be interesting to see. It will be interesting to see if there's any difference noticeable to other people when we're actually in the same room together, as opposed to on the same screen talking to each other. But because I think we are even a little bit more when we're together. It's even a little bit more pronounced our interactions. Of course it is. We're together and we love it. We're so excited. Get to have you here for a whole week.
I know.
And on the 23rd, you'll just gotten there the day before, so we'll still be amped up. Still be really excited. All right. Well, thank y'all for listening. We really appreciate you. Love having you here. And until next time, bye for now, Haley.
Bye.
You made it all the way to the end of today's episode, so you must have liked what you heard. If you did, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode, and perhaps leave us a good review. And if you know someone who wants to dig into all things human design with us, make sure you share the Human Design Hive podcast with them. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks for listening.